The silence after Daniel said our names felt violent, like glass shattering in slow motion. Sarah, Naomi, he repeated, as if saying them softer would make one of us disappear. Neither of us moved. Neither of us spoke. For the first time since I'd known him, Daniel Hayes looked small, cornered, exposed. His briefcase slipped from his fingers and hit the floor with a dull thud. "Okay," he exhaled, rubbing his face. "This isn't what it looks like." I laughed. "I didn't mean to. It just escaped me, sharp and broken." "Oh." Naomi's voice was calm, too calm. "What exactly does it look like, Daniel?" His jaw tightened. He looked at her the way he used to look at me during arguments, calculating, searching for the right version of the truth to serve. "I was going to tell you both," he said. "When?" I asked quietly. "Before or after?" "The third wedding?" His eyes flicked to me, surprised by the steel in my voice. "You don't understand," he said. "Things got complicated. Complicated. 10 years. 2 marriages. 2 homes. 2 sets of lies. Complicated." Naomi stepped forward. "Did you love her first?" she asked. "Or was she already just a story by the time you met me?" He didn't answer immediately. And that hesitation told us everything. "I love you both," he said finally. The audacity, the room felt too small for his excuses. "You don't get to say that," I snapped. "You don't get to wrap betrayal in romance." He ran a hand through his hair, a nervous habit I knew too well. "I never meant for it to go this far." "But it did," Naomi said. He looked at her like he wanted sympathy. She didn't give it. Instead, she reached into her purse again and pulled out her marriage certificate, placing it on the coffee table. I did the same with ours. 2 legal documents, side by side. Daniel stared at them. Then at us. "You don't understand how this started," he muttered. "Then explain," I said. And that's when he made the second biggest mistake of the night. He tried to blame loneliness. "You were grieving, Asa, Tommy." The words hit like a slap. "You pushed me away after the miscarriage." Naomi stiffened beside me. I felt heat rise in my chest. "I lost a baby," I whispered. "Our baby. And I lost you," he shot back. The cruelty of that statement stunned the air. "So you married someone else?" Naomi asked incredulously. He turned to her. "You were different. Aside, softly, you made me feel needed again." Needed? As if women were emotional bandages. "And what was I demanded. "You were my history." History. 10 years reduced to a chapter he skimmed over. Naomi crossed her arms. "Did you ever plan to leave her?" Daniel hesitated again. There it was, the truth peeking through. "I didn't want to hurt anyone," he said. "You already did," I replied. Silence stretched. Then something shifted in Naomi's expression, something sharper. "You told me you couldn't have children," she said slowly. My heart skipped. Daniel froze. "What?" I whispered. Naomi's eyes were locked on him. "You said your ex-wife couldn't get pregnant, that it destroyed your marriage." My stomach dropped. He had rewritten our story, turned my miscarriage into infertility, turned our pain into a narrative that freed him from guilt. You told me she cheated, Naomi continued, voice trembling now. That's why you divorced. The betrayal morphed into something uglier. He hadn't just lied, he had defamed me to protect his double life. I felt suddenly nauseous. Did you tell her I died too? I asked bitterly. Daniel's face cracked slightly. You're twisting this. No, Naomi said quietly. Judith. The air felt heavier by the second. Daniel paced. I was trying to protect both of you. That was when something in me finally snapped. Stop saying that, I shouted. You weren't protecting us. You were protecting yourself. He stopped pacing, looked at me like I was suddenly unfamiliar. And maybe I was, because the woman standing there wasn't the one who waited up at night, wasn't the one who reheated dinner at 10 p.m., wasn't the one who believed every late meeting. That woman was gone. Replaced by someone who was finally awake. Naomi's phone buzzed again. She glanced down, and her face drained of color. What? Daniel demanded. She didn't answer him. She showed the screen to me. A bank notification. Large transfer. Joint account. Her joint account transferred to a new account. This morning, nearly all of it. My heart began pounding again. That's our savings, she whispered. Daniel's eyes flickered. And in that split second, I saw it. Not just guilt, not Kostfear calculation. Daniel, I said slowly, dread creeping into my bones. What did you do? It's temporary, he said quickly. I just needed to move funds. For what? Naomi asked. He didn't respond. Daniel, for an investment. What investment? Primera preste. His silence screamed louder than any confession. Naomi's breathing quickened. You said we were saving for a house. My throat tightened. You told me we were paying off the kitchen remodel. Two parallel futures, both funded by the same lies. And suddenly, a terrifying possibility formed in my mind. What's the name of the account? I asked. Naomi, she swallowed and read it. I felt the blood drain from my face because I recognized it. That wasn't new. It wasn't an investment. It was an old account, one Daniel claimed he closed years ago. Back when he said he had debt from before we met. Debt I helped him pay off. Daniel, I whispered, the pieces falling into place. How much money do you actually owe? His jaw tightened. It's handled. How much? Naomi demanded. Silence. How much? Primera repea. Death. Finally, 280,000. The number hit like a bomb. Naomi staggered backward. I grabbed the edge of the table to steady myself. That's not possible, she whispered. It's from before. No, I cut in, because I paid off 70,000 5 years ago. Naomi's head snapped toward me. You what? He had taken money from both of us, used both marriages as financial cover, built 2 lives on credit and deception. And suddenly, the second wife wasn't the worst part. We weren't just betrayed. We were entangled. Legally. Financially. Dangerously. You used us, Naomi said quietly. Daniel's shoulders sagged. I was going to fix it. When? I asked. After the third wife. His eyes flared. Stop making me the villain. I stared at him in disbelief. You did that yourself. Another silence, but this one felt different. Heavier. Darker. Because now, this wasn't just emotional. This was criminal. Naomi stepped closer to me, not away. Closer. We need to check something, she said softly. I understood immediately. I walked to the hallway drawer where we kept our important documents. She stood beside me as I pulled out tax files, loan statements, insurance policies, and then life insurance, my name. Primary beneficiary. The doorbell rang on a Tuesday afternoon. I remember because I was wrestling with a stubborn jar of pickles, getting ready to make my husband, Mark, his favorite sandwich for when he got home from his business trip. I wiped my hands on my apron and opened the door. Standing there was a woman, about my age, with kind eyes and a nervous smile. She was clutching a framed photo so tightly her knuckles were white. "Hi," she said, her voice trembling slightly. "I'm sorry to bother you. Are you Sarah?" I nodded, confused. "Yes, that's me. Can I help you?" She took a deep breath. "My name is Emily. And I think we're married to the same man." The world tilted. The pickle jar ID just conquered suddenly felt like it was going to slip from my grasp all over again. I stared at her, then at the photo she was holding. It was Mark. He was standing on a beach, his arm wrapped around her, both of them beaming. It was a picture I'd never seen, from a vacation I never knew he took. That's my husband, Mark," I managed to say, my voice a whisper. "He's my husband, too," she replied, tears welling up in her eyes. I invited her in. What else could I do? We sat in my living room, the one Mark and I had decorated together, surrounded by photos of our life. Our wedding day, our trip to Italy, our dog, Buster, who was now sniffing curiously at Emily's shoes. Emily started to talk, and as she did, the last 10 years of my life began to unravel. She told me she met Mark 8 years ago. They married 2 years later. He told her he was a geological consultant, a job that required him to travel for weeks at a time to remote sites with no cell service. It was the perfect excuse. He would spend 2 weeks with her in the city, then 2 weeks with me in our quiet suburban home 100 miles away. 2 lives, 2 homes, 2 wives. She pulled out her phone and showed me pictures. There was Mark at her family's Christmas party. Tere, it was holding a baby niece. I didn't know he wore different clothes, had a slightly different haircut. He looked happy. Just as happy as he looked in my photos. My mind raced, piecing together the lies, the conferences in cities I'd never heard of, the lost phone chargers, the times he was unreachable, supposedly deep in a mining survey. It was all a meticulously crafted lie. He had a whole other set of in-laws, friends, and memories. Emily explained what led her to my door. She'd found a receipt in his jacket pocket, not from a remote mining town, but from a hardware store in my town. She'd gotten suspicious, a little digging online, a search of public records, and there it was, our marriage certificate, dated 2 years before hers. The truth was just a few clicks away, hidden in plain sight. As we talked, a strange sense of camaraderie formed between us. We weren't rivals. We were co-victims of an elaborate, cruel deception. We compared notes. He told us both we were the love of his life. He used the same pet names, told the same jokes. He bought us similar gifts for our birthdays, which were thankfully in different months. He even had 2 different favorite meals. Mine was the roast chicken, and hers was lasagna. He was a chameleon, adapting perfectly to each environment. The anger came in waves, hot and sickening. How could he do this? How could a person live like that, compartmentalizing their heart, their entire existence? We weren't just deceived. Our lives were a fabrication built to accommodate his selfishness. Emily and I spent hours talking, crying, and even laughing at the sheer absurdity of it all. We discovered he told her he was an only child. I knew his sister well. He told me he was allergic to cats. Emily had too. The lies were endless, big and small. Each one a tiny cut. When the sun started to set, we knew what we had to do. This wasn't just about heartbreak, it was about reclaiming our lives. Mark was due home the next day. Emily decided to stay. We would face him together. The next evening, we were ready. We sat on the sofa, a united front. When his key turned in the lock, my heart hammered against my ribs. He walked in, smiling, holding a bouquet of flowers. "Honey, I'm home." Get out." Out? His smile vanished the moment he saw us. He froze, the flowers dangling from his hand. The color drained from his face. For a moment, no one spoke. The silence was deafening. He looked from me to Emily, Tenbagtome, his mind clearly scrambling to invent a lie big enough to cover this. But there were no more lies to tell. His 2 worlds had finally collided right here in my living room. I stood up, my voice surprisingly steady. "Mark," I said, "meet Emily, your wife." What followed was a mess of pathetic excuses and desperate denials. He tried to claim Emily was a crazy stalker, that he didn't know her. But we had proof. We had photos, texts, shared memories that pinned him down. His carefully constructed universe imploded in a matter of minutes. In the end, there was nothing left for him to say. We told him to leave, to pack a bag and get out of my house, and to stay out of Emily's. The man I thought I knew, the man I had loved and built a life with, walked out the door, leaving behind 2 shattered lives. The aftermath was difficult. Of course, there were legal proceedings, painful conversations, and a whole lot of healing to do. But in a strange way, I wasn't alone. Emily and I leaned on each other. We were the only 2 people on Earth who truly understood what the other was going through. We'd been connected by the worst kind of betrayal, but we found an unlikely friendship in the ruins. It's been a year now. I'm still rebuilding, still rediscovering who I am without him. But I'm not broken. Finding out the truth was devastating. But living a lie would have been worse. And sometimes the most unexpected alliances are forged in the most painful fires. I lost a husband, but I gained a friend, and most importantly, I got my life back, the real one. Thanks for listening to my story. If you've ever been through something that turned your world upside down, remember that you are stronger than you think. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more stories. See you next time.